What's up, people? I'm just being silly. Hey, this is me. I'm your host, Madjef. I'm just having a good time, man, because I love this right here. You know what's up? It's the Madjef Music Show. And the fact that you're here with me means a whole lot to me. So I just wanted to give you a little love right back at you. Yeah, I know you're checking out my hat game. You know, where I'm from, not to have a hat game is the real shame. You feel me? Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Madjef Music Show, baby. So, let's get right into some news because, as usual, I have some. What we got today? Well, today's news is we lost a really good actor, a guy by the name of Clarence Williams III, and he was I don't even know how to say this, but at a time when I was growing up, he was the only black actor on television that wasn't in a dress or who wasn't a comedian trying to make people laugh. He was a serious dude in a show called The Mod Squad, and if you know anything about that, you'll know that it was lit, bro. It was a lit show.
A year ago, I wouldn't give 2 pop bottles for a cop. Now look at us. The Mod Squad.
Idiot maid locked me in a closet.
Well, at least you had a maid.
Hey, at least you had a closet.
Man, look, you probably know him most recently from Purple Rain. He was Prince's dad. He was the guy that was in there whooping up on Prince and his mama in the movie. Fictional, of course. Clarence Williams III. Rest in peace, my brother. And thank you for being a member of the Mod Squad, because for me, that was a big thing. That was a big thing. It really formulated a lot of my attitude in a lot of ways and so forth. So I appreciate you for that, man. On a very serious note, the young lady who filmed the murder of George Floyd, Darnella Frazier, has been awarded a 2021 Pulitzer Prize Special Citation. And that is a really big deal. So I'm excited for her. And, man, that is huge, huge news, man. And lastly, on the news front is I'm hearing that there is a chicken wing shortage in Buffalo, New York now. I don't know what my folks in the Low is doing, but I grew up there, and I never, ever saw a chicken ranch or a farm ever, but there was never a shortage of chicken wings, man. We need them chicken wings. So, hey, if you hold all them chicken wings in your garage or whatever, you know what to do. What's up? Anyways, welcome to the show, man. I'm excited you're here because guess what? I got a really cool guest today. All right, what's cool about her is, man, she was on the news, bro, like big time during the time I lived in Minneapolis. Her name is Robyne Robinson. Yeah, and Robyne is in the green room, and we're about to bring her out in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. So stand by for the one and only Miss Robyne Robinson. What? Hi, Robyne.
How are you, sir?
How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm absolutely fantastic. You pulled out all those old pictures when I was young and sweet and fresh and innocent.
Well, you still are all those things, aren't you? I mean, you're just, you're more seasoned now is what it is, right?
I'm a veteran now. I'm definitely a veteran. You know, been around a while.
Robyne, welcome to the show. It's so nice to see you.
Thank you so much. I was digging the music at the beginning and with your hat and everything, and the weather is feeling like we were, in Jamaica or St. Bart's or Trinidad, It's feeling
Well,
good.
it's Florida. It's the same thing. It's 94
It pretty much
degrees
is.
today.
See, being up here on the mountaintop, we're out here in Santa Fe. It's a nice little breeze. Gets up to about 90. It's comparable, just no water.
Well, I got a collection of hats. Like I said in my opening, not to have a hat game is the real shame, So I got a collection, and I just thought I would break this one out today because it was 90 degrees, and I'm putting that wool on my head today. But enough about me. Enough about me, young lady. It's so nice to see you. And why did I want to have you on the show? One of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show is let me show you something. Well, first of all, you need to know this. While you were on the air in
Yeah,
Minneapolis, you were
yeah,
the news lady, right? You know what I'm
correct.
talking about. You were on the news with these folks
Man,
here, right? That was you. You
yeah,
were the news lady. That's who you were.
yeah.
That's who you
Anybody who
were.
has
It was
followed
a
Prince through
very,
the years
very
knows that he was
small
a very
sorority, you
You
know.
know, and that's awesome. And I, as a person who lived in Minneapolis around that time, 20, 30 years ago, I guess now. Good Lord, right?
Good Lord.
It was when I moved there. It was racially challenged, to say the best. It was probably 5% black people there when I moved there. So, having said that,
Yeah, I mean the population has always pretty much hovered around in overall in the state was about 2%, but when you got to the Twin Cities, bolstered by the other small ethnic groups, it got to about 16% in the Twin Cities, and that included Dakota, Lakota, the Hmong community, and then the growing Hispanic community that was down south, that was down there for the plants and working at places like Hormel.
right,
That population was transient for a while, but then it came and started staying and connecting over in the Seventh Street area, over by Seventh to Robert
right,
in St. Paul. So yeah, and then the explosion of the East African
yeah. How about that?
community that has grown here, another immigrant community that has come here, a refugee community. Minnesota's been good for that, but still in all it sounds very lovely, but that's a hard place to crack.
It is. But, I started my story because I wanted to point out that living there, though, turning on the news, for me, I was a guy who never thought he'd have any children. And then I got married and ended up having 3 daughters. So growing up, raising them in Minnesota, they were raised there. They were dancers and ballet tap, and they danced in a group of probably 100 kids or so, and they'd be the only kids of color dancing in the
Oh
group.
yeah,
So they had to be really,
definitely.
really good. But here they are now. By the way, here they are now. They're
Oh
college
wow,
graduates, and
beautiful,
they're grown up now. They're
gorgeous.
strong and they're fierce and all those things. But guess what, Robin? When they were growing up, they were able to sit in front of the television set and see this woman, Miss Robyne Robinson, come on the television set as a role model for them. I just remember sitting on the couch watching the news, and they'd be sitting on the floor playing, and the three of them, and you would be on the news channel, and that was this was and there would be 22 feet of snow outside of my door. So this would not only be the whitest place to live in, it would also be the coldest, whitest place to live in. But there would be Robyne Robinson on TV.
I'm really honored that a lot of people have told me that. And just recently, a young woman who is a Tibetan who grew up in the Twin Cities is now a reporter for the Star Tribune. And we finished an interview, and she got offline, and then she came back on a few hours later, and she said, "I just wanted to let you know that my father made us watch you because he said that she's pretty much the closest thing to us that's on the air." So it was a very hard thing to do, even though Roxanne grew up there. It's a very small sorority of women that actually black women that get to anchor, and so doing that nightly, I can't even tell you some of the battles that you had to fight, the ones that you kind of stood alone
Right.
because there wasn't anybody else in the newsroom to fight for you, and really kind of stand toe to toe them and let them know, that, I've got numbers here, those numbers translate into viewers, and, you try to use it wisely and let them know that something's going to change here. We're going to do this way. I'm going to do this my way.
Right.
And I think it opened up a lot of doors for a lot of people in the newsroom, outside the newsroom, and I'm glad that I was there to be able to kind of pass the torch, keep my foot in the door for other young women to either come through or, believe in themselves that they can do whatever they want by seeing me on the air.
Right. And when you arrived in the Twin Cities, I mean, you weren't like some newbie. You had already worked in other cities like Virginia and Dallas and places like that, and you were a military affairs correspondent or something along those lines, weren't you at one point?
Yeah, I was a military affairs reporter. I shared the beat with another guy because they didn't want a woman to just have it. They had to make sure a guy was covering it. But I covered the home front and covered military affairs, and a lot of that had to do with what was going on at the time. We were raiding Libya. It was a lot of tension between the Middle East, and so I had opportunities to really delve deep into how that affects the entire family, how the wives all of a sudden become the mother and the father while the husband's deployed. They don't know where they're deployed because it's a secret. You got a lot of really frightened young ladies calling the newsroom in tears, asking if you know where the ship is. She hadn't heard from him in 6 months.
Wow.
And then when the guys come home, it's a wonderful homecoming with lots of red, white, and blue and formations and all that. But then you start to notice that domestic violence rises because the husband's home and he's trying to find his place back in this family that he hasn't seen for almost a year. He has a newborn child that he's never met until today.
Right.
Everybody's only answering to mom, not him. And then the tension builds. So it was an interesting time, to cover military affairs back then. Yeah, I worked in Dallas and I worked in Baltimore and then wound up in the Twin Cities.
So you alluded to the fact that you had to kind of fight for yourself to kind of keep your position. But I can just imagine. I can't even imagine how many people are lined up and saying with somebody's ear, "Oh, you want me in that chair."
You mean like other anchors? I mean, it's a cutthroat business, Jeff. I'm not gonna lie. It's a very cutthroat business. And they kind of make fun of themselves and the fact that they are so dark, but it is a lot of behind the scenes Machiavellian ploys for anchor seats and undercutting people so they can't get close to the anchor seat and fighting the daily battle of sexism and racism in a newsroom, and you are one of maybe three.
Wow.
And depending on the position, you may not have anybody in management, but you might have another reporter, another anchor, and depending on how committed they feel to the Twin Cities or committed they feel to what you're talking about, they might kind of just leave you out there hanging. So you have to really be very, very cautious. It's a chess game. Oftentimes, I likened it to high school because it has its little cliques and factions, and you have to learn how to maneuver within that. And I think growing up and going to predominantly white schools and going to a military school helped me to understand how to maneuver people and
Mm.
kind of watch, learn, and then make your entrance as to what you want. Have it backed up by facts. Make sure you have allies.
Right.
So you learn how to work the system
Right.
and get what you need on the air.
One of the things you're most known for in Minneapolis is conversations
Yeah,
with Prince. But
yeah,
and this is a long time ago. But you in addition to that, I mean, and that's big news. But you covered some really big stories in the Twin Cities. Like weren't you? Didn't you cover the 35W bridge collapse when that happened?
yeah. I was anchoring. Happened to be on the set. The newscast ended. I think it was the a 6 o'clock show, and just as we came off the set, I heard my phone on the desk ring, but then the assignment editor, Kelly Huffman, started screaming, "Get back on the set." And so, in that moment, we really didn't know what was happening until people were bringing us scripts out and we could listen to the studio director tell us kind of what was going on. The news director comes running out, gives you a debrief on the set as to what's happening. And then you have to kind of rely on your own instinct to know facts and data. I mean, that's why it's good to have people who have been in the newsroom a long time uh, around because they can tell you more detailed information about what's happening, where it's happening, the history of the place, if there hasn't been any pros and cons about it. And
Hmm.
so I think Jeff and I were on my goodness, we were on for hours and hours, and then when I got off the set, it was a cousin of mine who had called, and he was on the bridge. So that started a whole nother set of emotions and feelings and trying to get to him. And it was a remarkable time. I guess you could look at it one way as I've been fortunate or enough to cover many major incidents
Mm.
that have happened nationally and locally. I think I was on the air 13 hours when 9/11 happened.
Wow.
And it's like the day after my birthday. I'd had a huge party. I'm rolling over in bed and, seeing the repeat of the first plane go into the tower and jumping up. I think I was driving and listening to NPR and putting on makeup and calling Channel 9. And at first they told me, oh no, we're good. We'll have Jeff come in. But they couldn't find Jeff. Jeff was out playing golf and he left his phone in the car. So they met me at the door with earpiece and scripts, and I walked straight from my car onto the set. And yeah, I was out there about 4 hours by myself, and then another 8 or 9 hours with Jeff covering that, and
Oh,
and
serious.
covered the OJ trial. I mean, I covered a bunch of stuff, man.
So that's pretty significant. So you set out. So you're from Chicago, right? Chicago.
Originally from Chicago, I'm a South Side girl.
South Side. What's up, South Side girl? So born and raised in Chicago, and was that your goal right out from the beginning? You want to be on TV, being in the news?
Pretty much. I mean, when you're a little kid, you say all kinds of things that you want to do, but I think it was attractive to me because of the things that you mentioned earlier about Clarence Williams III. TV, the first black woman I saw do the news was Janet Langhart, and she did the weather at the CBS station in Chicago. Janet Langhart went on to marry Louis Freeh, who was the CIA director. But this was one of the few black women that you could see on the air, like you said, that wasn't dancing. It wasn't Lola Falana, who was a big dancer back then. It wasn't somebody that was singing. It was a serious woman talking about a serious subject. Then there was Carol Simpson, who was on ABC. And Carol Simpson made more of an impact because Carol Simpson had the anchor desk all to herself on weekends. And that was a remarkable feat anyway, back in the late 70s, early 80s, to see anybody black anchoring, but not to mention a black woman. And ABC had a production value that did this huge sweeping into the anchor desk. And there's this, Carol Simpson, and she's got this poise and demeanor, and her voice was just so clear and strong. And there was nobody else out there with her. There was no weatherman. There was no sports guy, just her. And I saw that at a very young age. It was around the same time as Watergate. So the influence of coming home from school every day and watching Watergate and seeing these strong black women on the air, commanding presence, commanding their place on the anchor desk, made a huge impact on me. I mean, she had to know a little bit about politics, history, current events, science, and never had to, break out into a can, or anything like that,
Right.
So, excuse me.
No, I hear
It had a huge impression on me, Jeff, and I think I was about 12 or 13, and I said, that's what I'm going to do. And I just put my mind to it and then just stuck to it.
That's awesome. So, Minneapolis, what a time, right? I mean,
I miss my Minneapolis. I was just back. I've gone back 3 or 4 times in the last year, and it was heartbreaking and horrible to have to watch from afar. My city just in flames,
implode,
pretty much.
yeah.
The anger and the frustration, and going back. It's in the air. It's palpable. You can feel the tension. You can feel the anxiety. You can feel the depression. You can feel the sadness. And you can feel it from people that you interact with. You know, because the other shoe has not dropped for them. And every day they're going down streets that have National Guardsmen or maybe razor wire or concrete blocks that block off the street. You know, it's not everywhere. So, you know, they get angry about that too. It's like everybody thinks it's a war zone around here and it's just all gone to hell. No, but there are clearly areas that have been strongly affected by the George Floyd murder and aftermath. And there's a lot of stories that didn't get told. A lot of people don't talk about the supremacists that came through the Twin Cities and still rolled through. And you could find their stashes of gasoline and weapons and going past places that you and I have been to near north and saying, we'll be back. Saying it to Roger Cummins and some of the folks that had to stay up overnight to protect juxtaposition arts. You know, it's things like that out south, you know, like 41st in Columbus, going through neighborhoods like that. You know, that young black men have to come out and protect their own homes and their families.
Right.
So yeah, it's crazy. It's a schizophrenic place right now. And, you know, the decisions that are being made are being questioned by everyone. And you can see that people will start to lay down the law, and if the community reacts in a negative way, they pull back. You know, so I'm hoping that the folks there are able to really show the world what it's like to come back, the aftermath after something like this, and shape our social political policies and let us do something that's really going to make a significant change and change the world. You know, I'm working on several projects in public art that really are in the midst of everything that's going on there. I'm working on a project with the Minnesota Historical Society and Forecast Public Art to bring back attention and history to the Lakota people who were brutalized at Fort Snelling. As the Fort Snelling is being revitalized, they're making space for Dakota artists to come in and tell the story of the Dakota people who were hung at Fort Snelling. It's a place of remembrance, a place of tears for them, and they want their story told and want their story known, and want Dakota artists to represent them. And you know, working on the restoration of the Coliseum building on Lake in Hiawatha, which was at ground zero of the riots, directly across the street from the police station. It's a 104-year-old building that was part of the big industrial and transportation boom in the Twin Cities. The main corridor, actually, that dates before Minnesota was even a state. The Dakota people used it, the traders used that route to get over to Fort Snelling, and so did the soldiers. It has this really outstanding history, and working on it so that the full story now can be told of what happens in this corridor. It's a very important corridor. Most people don't really know about that. The whole Longfellow area, right at Lake in Hiawatha, is a very important part of the city because it was a hub for industry and transportation dating back to the late 1888. And in 1920, the huge transportation and machinery industrial age came through that area. And then it fell on hard times in the 70s. And a lot of people remember that there was a lot of prostitution and drugs. They cleaned it up. They put the new structure on the Coliseum building, and that's why it didn't burn. The shell of it had been reinforced back at 2005 or 2015. So Seward Redesign has asked me to come on and work with them to do public art that will show the history of that building and be a predominantly BIPOC building with BIPOC artists that are contributing to its redevelopment.
It's amazing stuff. So artists, that's your thing. And there was a time when the artist was He wouldn't really talk to anybody. He'd be like, I'm not talking to anybody. Send Robyne down here. I'll talk to her.
I know, right? I mean, the backstory on that is really just one of amazing gratitude, and I think being in the right place at the right time. And, Minnesota is 1 degree of separation from everybody, and I just happened to start seeing somebody that was part of Prince's entourage. And because of that, one person told another, and I started hanging out with some of his makeup people and some of his wardrobe people. And one night we all decided to go to dinner, and Maite came. And during dinner, she told everybody that, Prince has the idea and her idea to start her dance company, the ballet and hip hop to all Prince's music. And she said, I really am excited about this, and I want some coverage on it. Robyne, would you cover it? And I was like, of course. So, in trying to do that, I think Prince was not really thrilled about her being impulsive and saying just, I want coverage on it without talking to him first, because I'm good to go, right? And so we had to chase her down because, between us making the appointment to come out there to Paisley Park and her saying, she wanted me to do it, he was pretty much trying to put the kibosh on it. And so, we get out there and we had to wait hours and hours and hours. She was avoiding us. Finally, I told Jackie Thompson, I said, Jackie, can I talk to her for 5 minutes, just 5 minutes? And so I told her, I said, Maite, this isn't about him. This is all about you. So everybody can see who you are. I said, this is separate from him. Do you see that? And she thought about it for a minute, and she was like, okay. And then she sat down and did the interview. Trying to get it on the air was another thing. Prince kept calling, we want to see the tape before it goes on the air. And Prince, if he didn't like it, it wasn't going on the air. Right. He's going to sue. I was just like, no, this is my, this is a big opportunity for me. I just got a new talk show. I've got prime time at 7 o'clock. It's got to be on the air. So I lied to him, Jeff. I lied to him and told him that the courier got lost, couldn't find his way out to Chanhassen. Every time they called and asked for it, I was like, I have no idea what's going on. I'm so sorry. We'll just call and check again. I kept putting him off until it hit the air. I just rolled the dice, man. I had to. This was my big chance, so just rolled the dice, hit the air, and as soon as it ended, the phone rang, and it was like, Paisley Park, the Prince would like you to come out tonight. And I kept saying all the way out there, it's like, I've ruined my career, okay, that's fine, and I get out there, and Maite is over the moon, right? Wow. She's just excited. We made copies. I'm sending them to my family. I'm so excited. And Prince stood there for a minute, and then he shook my hand, and he said, "You're really fair to my wife." And I said, I have no reason to screw you guys at all, ever. And then he goes, "You want to do an interview with me?" Yeah, I like that. And that's how that interview happened.
That's how this came about, huh? So
that's how that came about. But
he
made me go to Fargo to get it.
To Fargo, North Dakota?
I had to drive to Fargo in the snow.
No way. That's so typical of him. Drive to Fargo, not even to South Dakota?
Huh?
Not South Dakota, but North Dakota.
North Dakota. In the cold.
Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible. So you've done a lot of interesting things. I've been really interested by some of the stuff you've done. You've taken on jewelry making. Is that something that now is a regular thing, or is that a phase, or are you still making jewelry these days?
I'm still making jewelry, but not with the crazy volume that I had been doing. I started out making jewelry as a kid just because my mother encouraged me to do it. She was a school teacher. She didn't have a lot of money, and instead of me coming to her and asking her for something, she would encourage me to make something, And it just kind of grew into something that I enjoyed doing for friends. And then I started dating this guy who was a Greek soccer player, and we were over in Greece and we're on islands, and this lady kept going past the table and saying in Greek that she liked the bracelet that I was wearing that I had made. And she must have passed the table like 2 or 3 times, and he turned to me and he goes, "Do you understand what she's saying?" And I said, "No," because he said, "She keeps saying your bracelet's beautiful." And she came by a third time, and he said something to her, and he turned around and looked at me and goes, "Give me the bracelet." I was like, "What?" He goes, "Give me the bracelet off your wrist." He gave her the bracelet, and she gave him 250 euros. And he gave it to me, and he kept 25 for himself and drinks.
Nice.
And he looked at me and goes, "Go home and make jewelry."
Oh, nice.
And that's how it started.
That's crazy. That's
And
crazy.
after that, I wound up in Macy's.
Wow.
And I sold all over the world. I sold in Greece and London. I've sold in Kenya,
Okay.
in Vietnam, in the Caribbean.
And this is after your news anchor career.
Oh no, during.
During. Okay. I was curious.
Oh yeah, rock was a big deal, you know, and I was passionate about it. And it's part of the reason why I left. You know, there's many other reasons, but that was a big reason because I got picked up by a shopping network.
Wow.
So we were on Shop HQ for about a year. And now I've gone back to just, I like museums a lot. And it's a comforting feeling because you sit and talk to someone and they really engage you about your jewelry and they want to know details about it. And my jewelry is really heavily influenced by the places that I lived and traveled. And I think there's a lot of people that really are influenced by the things that are visceral designs and the things that they can touch, things that are touchstones and memories of places that they've been and places that they remember from childhood or from travel, you know. And I think that's why it's so popular because it has a global feel to it. Most of the jewelry designs I learned when I was living in Greece. I'd go to the museums, they had jewelry museums. And so I'd go and learn about the history of stones and the history of jewelry and how it came to be a fashion instead of religious and used in war, the mythology behind it. And then I studied a lot of Ayurvedic color chakras and, you know, 5,000-year-old ideas about colors and how that relates to the stones and how you see that in medieval times, how, you know, alchemists used the stones in order to cure people. So, you know, it has these amazing backstories, and I was influenced by a lot of Byzantine and Orthodox work, and that tied into the close relationship between Greece and Africa, because a lot of, you know, the Coptic crosses and Orthodox crosses are very similar, and the theologies are similar, and you know, it's fascinating to have jewelry that's also influenced by Central Asia and Afghanistan, and you know, the beautiful, beautiful designs from those regions too, and a little bit of, you know, East India and a little Southwestern and a lot of African influences from Mali, particularly in Ghana. You know, it's wonderful, and I enjoyed making jewelry now, statement jewelry. I was just at in Minnesota for Black Fashion Week, and they featured my jewelry at the Minnesota African American Heritage Museum.
Wow.
And it was just acquired by the Minnesota Historical Society. They put 2 pieces in their collection for
Very cool.
Black Minnesota designers.
And now you're heavily involved in the art scene. I mean, just you started in Minnesota, but you're just everywhere, bi-coastal now, I guess, right?
I'm trying, you know. I really enjoyed my time in Southern California. I've been working with a couple of galleries that also have connections to juxtaposition arts and working with some galleries in Oceanside, California, which is just up the road from San Diego, and hoping to really start connecting and doing a lot more there. I've done a couple of artist talks and trying to connect Minnesota artists with some of the galleries there, and working on some projects that can tie into Santa Fe, where I'm at right now, too, and my connections with the Twin Cities and developing new contacts in Texas, Dallas, and Houston.
Feel you. Exciting stuff. So, listen, when I have my guests on my show, we talk about all kinds of stuff, serious, not so serious. But at some point, I like to take a little break from all that serious talk and all that not so serious talk or whatever. And I have just play a little game where I put up a couple of images, and then you just kind of tell me what comes to mind when you see the images. These are real simple and easy games to play. Some games are hard in life. These are easy games. What comes to mind there, ma'am?
Well, besides being a Klaus Oldenburg, Swimming to Sherry, it just makes me think of podcasts. On a nice day like today.
Awesome answer, awesome answer. I gotta admit, it kind of makes me think of Haagen-Dazs also. Okay, so naturally when you see something like this, you get really excited, don't you? What comes to mind?
I can't even tell you the dirty things that I'm even thinking about it. I'll just say that, what it makes me think of is an ornate woman, a beautiful, gorgeous, ornate woman.
See, I like your answers. Dig this. We ain't done yet because I got one more picture, and here it comes. Oh, because you from Chicago. Don't even front.
Yeah.
All right. Now this picture comes with a little call and answer. So I'm gonna say a phrase, and then you have to tell me the next line. All right, here it goes. First phrase: temporary layoffs.
Good times.
Easy.
Revolve.
Good times. Scratching and surviving. Oh, here's a good line. Hanging in a child line. I never got that until I was older. Hanging in a child line. And ain't we lucky we got him.
I didn't think I had words. I just made up stuff there.
People been doing that for years. Robyne, I want to thank you so much for coming on to my show. I'm so stoked. I'm so stoked that you were able to come in here and hang out with me.
We didn't get to spill any real tea either. I had some things to talk
Did you want to spill some tea, darling?
Oh, no.
No, we don't need to spill any tea. We can always come back and let's confer, and then we'll spill some tea in the future. But just having you on my show and knowing that potentially my daughters will see you on my show when you are also Robyne Robinson from the news that they saw growing up as kids. It's a special day for me.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Robyne. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the lovely Robyne Robinson. And if you don't know, now you know. Thank you so much, Robyne, for coming on to the Madjef Music Show. Man, I can't thank you people enough. And it's a wonderful thing when people support people. And having Robyne coming on and doing my show after doing like TV with real celebrities and interviewing Prince and then coming on and talking to me, it's kind of a wonderful thing. I also want to give a little shout out real quick to BMA Black Music America. That's Pete Rhodes and his company out in Minneapolis, St. Paul. They are running the Madjef Music Show live on their networks. It was not live, but it's a live stream. They're taking episodes and they're running them on the cable channel in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So what can I say other than thank you so much for doing that, BMA Black Music America. You got to get at them, and they're gonna make me a big star, baby, and then you have to knock on my door, and people gonna be like, that's my new catchphrase. So you're gonna have to dig it. And that's all there is to it. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning into my show. I'm glad you could. Robyne is a great person and an awesome guest, and I wanted to have somebody on with a little intellectual conversation, trying to stimulate things and make for an interesting, different show from what we typically do around here. But music, news, art. All those things are things that interest Robyne. Therefore, those are things that interest me. Hey, man, if you want to get with me on social media, find me on the Madjef Music Show on Facebook, or find me also and I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm in all these places you can find me. written some books, and I've got some sample CDs and stuff like that online on my online store. Just scan the little app there, and it'll take you right there. I want to tell you about my next guest that's coming on the show because his name is Ben Obi. You know, he's not a household name, but he's a music producer and he's a label exec, and he's from Savannah Street Studios in Minneapolis, Minnesota, St. Paul. Look, when I say that the guy has put more people in a position to achieve success in the music industry than a few, I'm not kidding. The guy is just behind the scenes done legendary work, and he's one of the first guys I met when I moved to Minneapolis. So I'm excited about the opportunity to have Ben on my show and reconnect with him. Hey, do me a favor. If you're feeling depressed, man, if life ain't working the way you want it to work, if things got you down, pick up the phone and call 1-800-273-TALK. If you're feeling like, not sure about what's happening in your world, you want to talk to somebody, pick up the phone and dial. Somebody will talk to you and hopefully make you feel better about the things that are going on in the world. Make you feel better about your life. Anyway, I want to thank my host, my guest again, Miss Robyne Robinson. And, she said goodbye, but she didn't really say goodbye the way I would have liked for her to say goodbye. I really was hoping for one of these goodbyes.
I want to see many of you along the way, but before I go, I just want to say thank you so much for letting me serve this community every night to the best of my ability. It has been a privilege. I will never stop loving Minnesota.
Oh,
You've
my
been
goodness.
Extremely good to me, and I've been blessed by all you do.
Oh, love it. I love it.
You
Robyne,
always in my
I
heart.
got you. I got you, baby. Thank you so much, Robyne, for coming on to my show. Sweetheart. Appreciate you. Hey, I'm your host, Jeff Taylor. If you need to, pull up on me. My show done ran a little bit longer than usual today, but you know what I say when people say you went too long, you're gone too long?
Don't worry about it, sweetheart. Don't worry about it, sweetheart.
Anyway, I gotta go. It's been fun. It's been real. It's always a pleasure. Jeff Taylor,